Ever feel like you're just kind of stuck, like on autopilot, just racing through your to-do list, scrolling, never really present?
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, me too. That's why, well, today we're doing a deep dive into Thich Nhat Hanh's Peace is Every Step.
Hmm.
And this book, basically, it's a guide to, like, finding peace, but not as some, far off destination,
Right, right.
but like in the everyday moment.
Yeah. It's a powerful shift. It really is, because we tend to think if I could just achieve X, then I'll be at peace.
Yeah.
But this book, it reminds us that peace is something, it's available now, like right now,
Hmm.
in every step, every breath.
I love that. So no need to book that one-way ticket to a secluded mountaintop.
Not quite.
Okay.
But we do have to be intentional, I think, about cultivating peace in our lives.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest obstacles, like you said, is that constant sense of busyness,
Oh, tell me about it.
that feeling of just being pulled in a million directions.
Yeah, like our brains have just forgotten how to slow down, how to actually like savor the moment.
Exactly. And that's where mindfulness comes in.
Oh, okay.
Thich Nhat Hanh, he tells this great story about eating a cookie as a child. It took him like an hour to finish it.
An hour for a cookie. Okay, that's some serious
It
willpower.
wasn't about willpower, though. It was about awareness.
Okay.
He talks about savoring each bite, noticing the taste, the texture, feeling the sun, hearing the sounds around him. It was about being totally absorbed in that experience.
Wow. That's so different from how I think most of us eat.
Right.
It's like mindlessly scarfing down lunch at our desks, scrolling through our phones.
Yeah, yeah.
I know I'm guilty of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's why he talks about things like the tangerine meditation.
Okay.
So imagine you're holding a tangerine, right?
Okay.
You're feeling the weight of it, the texture.
Yeah.
And you close your eyes and you just visualize like its whole journey from a blossom to a fruit. The sunshine it soaked up, the rain, then you bring it to your nose, you inhale that aroma,
Oh, yeah.
and finally you take a bite, you savor that.
Wow, I can almost taste it now. It's incredible how something so simple, can become almost meditative
Exactly.
when we really bring that level of awareness to it.
And it highlights a key idea, I think. Mindfulness isn't just about sitting on a cushion with your eyes closed.
Right.
It's about bringing that same attention, that quality of attention, to everyday experiences.
So it's less about what we're doing and more about how.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's that shift,
Mhm.
from doing to being, from rushing to savoring. He even talks about the dangers of what he calls bad TV.
Bad TV. Okay.
And it's not that TV itself is bad, right?
Right.
It's how easy it is to just let it numb our minds, and it steals our attention, and then we're left just feeling drained.
Oh, it's so true. I know, like after a few hours of just mindless scrolling or binge watching, I feel anything but peaceful.
Right. And that's why mindfulness is so essential, because it helps us choose how we're consuming information, experiences, all of it. So we're not just passively letting life happen to us.
So how do we start bringing more of this mindfulness into our own lives beyond appreciating a tangerine? Like what can we actually do?
Yeah. Yeah. There are definitely some practices we can try. One of the most, I think, fundamental is conscious breathing.
Okay.
And Thich Nhat Hanh, he offers this really simple but powerful mantra. He says, breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment.
That's beautiful. Just even hearing you say those words, I can feel myself relaxing a little.
And that's the power of it, just focusing on our breath.
Yeah.
It anchors us
Yeah.
at the present moment. And it just calms, all that mental chatter.
Yeah.
Creates that space for peace.
It sounds so simple, but I imagine it takes practice to really get it.
It does. It does. But the beauty is you can do it anytime, anywhere. You're waiting in line, stuck in traffic. You can even do it while you're washing the dishes.
Hold on. Washing dishes. Like, as in the bane of my existence, washing dishes. You're telling me there's a way to find peace in that.
You bet. Thich Nhat Hanh, he says we can transform even like the most mundane tasks
Okay.
into opportunities for peace, even joy.
Okay.
With a little mindfulness. Just think about it. When you're like washing dishes, but you're doing it mindlessly,
Yeah.
your mind is probably just racing.
Yes. A million things I'd rather be doing for sure.
Right. Thinking about the past, worrying about the future.
Yes.
But what if, instead of letting those thoughts, pull you away, you brought your full attention to right now, to just the act of washing. You feel the warmth of the water. You hear the clatter of the dishes.
Okay, I'm trying to imagine it.
Yeah.
It already feels less like a chore when you put it that way.
Right. And it's not about forcing yourself to like it or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
It's about bringing that curiosity to it, that awareness
Yeah.
to the experience.
So it's like we're training our minds to find those little moments of peace, even in those, unexpected places.
Exactly. And this practice, this extends to so many areas of life, even driving.
Okay.
Thich Nhat Hanh, he actually talks about like how we can turn our cars into rolling meditation halls.
Okay, now that's a concept I need to hear more about.
He suggests that before you even start the car, you recite this verse. Before starting the car, I know where I am going. The car and I are one. If the car goes fast, I go fast.
Okay.
It's about like bringing intention to driving instead of just zoning out.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the stress of it all, right? But that reminds me that we have a choice, like in how we respond.
Exactly. And even when you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting frustrated, you could use that time
Okay.
to practice, like conscious breathing. Take some deep breaths, feel your feet on the floor, and you come back to the present moment.
So a traffic jam becomes a chance to like mini meditate.
Exactly.
I have to admit, this is changing how I look at things. But what about when those bigger emotions come up, like anger? I can't imagine just breathing away a wave of frustration.
You're right. Mindfulness isn't about suppressing our emotions.
Right.
It's more about, learning to acknowledge them, understand them, work with them in a healthy way.
So not like pretending we're not angry or just trying to force those feelings away.
Exactly. He uses this great analogy, Thich Nhat Hanh. He calls it a non-surgery approach.
Non-surgery. Okay.
So instead of trying to like cut out parts of ourselves that we don't like,
Right.
we learn to, work with them, understand them.
That's a really good way to put it, because it's like we're all complex beings, right?
Yeah.
With this whole range of emotions,
Right.
and trying to like deny them, it just creates more conflict, I think, inside.
Exactly. And so when it comes to anger specifically, he talks about treating it like a younger sibling,
Okay.
who needs our care, our attention, not punishment.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we actually do that?
Well, you start by recognizing the anger, but without letting it, consume you. He suggests this practice, he says. Breathing in, I know that anger is in me. Breathing out, I know that I am my anger.
So creating that separation, that little bit of space
Yeah.
between ourselves and the feeling.
Precisely. And the breath is key here again,
Yeah.
right? By like anchoring ourselves in the present moment through the breath, it prevents the anger from just like completely taking over.
This is reminding me of something else he talks about, this idea of interbeing. Can you
Yeah.
explain that a bit?
Interbeing. Yeah. So interbeing is it's a beautiful concept, I think. It highlights how everything's interconnected. Think of a spider web, right?
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Each strand, it's connected to every other strand.
Right.
So imagine one strand starts to vibrate.
Yeah.
What happens to the rest of the web?
It all moves together. It vibrates too.
Exactly. And that's how interconnected we all are. When we harm someone else, it's harming ourselves. When we celebrate someone else's joy, we experience that too.
It's like that ripple effect. Like our actions, even our thoughts and emotions, they have an impact. Yes.
On everything and everyone around us.
Yes. And understanding this, it can really, I think, change how we approach things, like even conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
It lets us see the humanity in everyone, even those who have caused us pain. He actually wrote this really powerful poem about it called Call Me by My True Names.
I remember that one.
Oh,
It's so like intense
Yeah.
how he talks about being both the victim and the perpetrator of violence.
It's definitely challenging. But it's that willingness to see ourselves in everyone,
Yeah.
even those we might label as bad.
Mhm.
That's what allows for compassion and understanding.
That poem, it's a lot to unpack.
It is, it is.
He makes you think, like how we label people,
Right.
good or bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But we don't really think about all their experiences.
It's definitely easier than facing that interconnectedness.
Right.
It is.
It's so much easier to just put people in a box.
Definitely. But it also, keeps us stuck
Yes.
in these cycles, of judgment, blame.
Yeah. And compassion, though, compassion asks us to look deeper,
Okay.
to see the suffering. Right.
Yeah.
That's underneath it all.
And that's something I think Thich Nhat Hanh talks a lot about, cultivating compassion.
He does.
Not just for, the people we love, but for everyone.
Even ourselves.
Yeah. Even ourselves, which can be hard enough.
Oh, I know.
And he actually has a meditation for that, right?
He does.
For cultivating compassion.
Yeah, it's called the meditation on compassion.
Okay.
And it encourages us to practice sending compassion to someone maybe we're struggling with.
Oh,
Could
right.
be someone who hurt us, someone we disagree with,
Yeah.
maybe even someone we just straight up don't like.
Wow. That's a tall order.
Yeah.
I can barely muster up compassion for myself on some days.
Right.
So how do we even begin to do that?
So you start by bringing that person to mind.
Okay.
Picture them as clearly as you can.
Okay.
And you hold them in your awareness.
Yeah.
With a sense of kindness,
Mm.
just wishing them well. You might say phrases to yourself like, may you be free from suffering, or may you be well, may you be happy.
So it's not about condoning their actions or anything, right?
Yeah.
But it's about tapping into that deeper sense of empathy.
Exactly. And the more we can cultivate that compassion,
Yeah.
the more peace I think we'll find in ourselves, but also in the world.
It makes me think of that saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Ooh, I like that one.
It's so true, though.
It reminds me of another one he talks about, the meditation on love.
Okay, tell me more. Is this about sending loving vibes to your crush?
Not quite.
Okay.
This one's about connecting with a love that doesn't depend on anything outside of ourselves.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that wellspring of love that's, already there inside each of us.
So it's less about romantic love and more about cultivating self-love.
Yeah.
And love for life?
Yes. And from that place, then we can actually share that love with others, but more freely, more authentically.
I love that. So we're going from mindful tangerines to mindful love. What other everyday things does he suggest we bring mindfulness to?
He actually even talks about bringing it to hugging.
There's a meditation for hugging.
It's called hugging meditation.
Okay. I have definitely been hugging wrong my whole life.
It's simpler than you think. So before you hug someone, just take a second
Okay.
to pause.
Right.
Be present in your body. Feel your breath. And then as you're hugging them, just keep breathing mindfully. Feel that warmth, that connection, the feeling of your arms around them.
So it's about turning a quick hug into, a mindful moment of connection.
Exactly. And he talks about how just that can change your relationships, helps you feel more, present.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and more connected with the people, you care about.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm upping my hugging game. But on a more serious note, he also talks about community too, right?
He does. He does.
Like having those connections in your life.
He believes that having that strong community is essential for peace and well-being.
Right.
He actually compares it to having money in the bank.
Okay.
So material wealth, it can't make you truly happy, right?
Yeah.
But having that network of good friends, family, it gives you that sense of security, of belonging. It's so valuable.
It's like they say, friends are the family you choose.
That's a good one.
And in a world that can feel so isolating sometimes, it's more important than ever, I think.
I agree. And those communities, they give you strength,
Yeah.
support, especially when times are tough.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I've learned so much about mindfulness and how we can use it to, transform our lives. And not through these big, sweeping changes, but through these really small, everyday things.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And just remember, peace is a journey.
It's not that destination.
Yeah. And it's something that we cultivate, like
Yeah.
we've been talking about,
Right.
with every step, every breath we take, just showing up with, that awareness, that intention.
So to all our listeners out there, what will your next step be? What little act of mindfulness will you bring to your day, maybe even today? Whether it's just savoring that first cup of coffee or taking a mindful moment to breathe, I think it can make a world of difference.
It can. It really can.
Right.
And just like Thich Nhat Hanh says, peace is every step.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. And until next time, may you find peace in each and every moment.